Lowe's knows that no matter your paint project, saving is at the top of your list. That's why when you shop today, you can buy one, get one free select Valspar and HGTV Home by Sherwin-Williams one-coat coverage interior paints via rebate. Shop these deals in-store or online today at Lowe's. We help, you save. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. Discount taken at time of purchase. See sales associate for details. Offer valid 8/21 through 9/3.
Imagine this. It's a quiet, warm night. The air is thick with the scent of the ocean, and above you, the moon hangs full and bright against the dark sky. Its light is so pure, so brilliant that you almost feel a pull like it's reaching out just for you. But then, something shifts. A shadow moves across that silvery light, and the world around you grows suddenly dim. You look up again, and in the moon's place, you see something impassable. An enormous shape, scales glittering faintly, jaws wide enough to devour a mountain, and you realize it's not just a shadow, it's alive. Tonight, we're diving deep into one of the most haunting tales in Filipino mythology, the story of the Bakunawa, the dragon of the deep who devours the moon. This creature is no ordinary dragon. In the myths passed down through generations, the Bakunawa is as vast as the ocean itself, a being both beautiful and terrifying, one that rises from its dark home in the sea to consume the very light of the night. So what makes it seek out the moon? And why do people, when they see the moon vanish, gather together, shout, beat drums, and scream into the darkness to drive this creature away? Well, it turns out that the story of Bakunawa is more than just a bedtime tale. It's a glimpse into how the early Filipinos saw the universe, how they understood things like the tides, eclipses, even the cycle of life itself. This is the story of the Bakunawa, the beast who devours the moon, a creature born of darkness, with jaws that swallow starlight and a hunger that only the heavens can satisfy. It is said that when the Bakunawa rises, even the ocean holds its breath and the sky dims as if in fear. Some say this dragon lurks at the edge of the world, watching and waiting, drawn to the moon's brilliance like a moth to flame. Others say it is cursed, forever bound to chase the light it can never keep. But one thing is certain, when that shadow falls and the moon begins to vanish, the world below remembers. Because the Bakunawa is more than a myth. It is a warning, a reminder of the cosmic dance between light and darkness, creation and destruction. Hey there everyone, welcome back to LilWeird, where we dive deep into the strange, the mythical, and the mysteries that make us wonder. And if this is your first time joining us, you pick a perfect night to tune in, because tonight we're talking about a creature so powerful it could devour the very light of the night sky. Yes, I'm talking about the Bakunawa, the moon-eating dragon of Filipino folklore. Now, you might think you've heard every kind of dragon story out there, but trust me, the Bakunawa is something else. This isn't a knight versus dragon kind of tale. It's cosmic. It's about hunger and beauty, fear and power. The Bakunawa legend is one of those rare myths that survive through generations, keeping people looking up at the night sky with a mix of wonder and maybe a bit of unease. So, here's what we're going to do tonight. We'll start with the story of how the Bakunawa came to be. We'll follow its journey from the ocean depths to the heights of the night sky, chasing those luminous moons. And then we'll explore the deeper meaning behind the myth, why people feared it, respected it, and why even today, the story is still shared and celebrated in Filipino culture. Personally, I've always been fascinated by these kinds of myths. I mean, have you ever felt that strange energy during a lunar eclipse? The way the world feels a little off. There's something primal about watching the moon disappear, even for just a moment, as if the universe is reminding us of just how small we are. And for the early Filipinos, they believed they knew exactly what was causing it. It was the Bakunawa, a dragon born of shadows, rising to claim the moon. Alright, let's get started. Picture this, a time when the night sky was lit by 7 bright moons, each one glimmering like a beacon in the dark. But those moons wouldn't stay safe for long, because somewhere, down in the depths of the ocean, something was stirring, something that would change the skies forever. Long, long ago, the night sky over the ancient Philippines was very different from what we see right now. Imagine looking up and seeing not one lonely moon but seven. Seven brilliant moons lighting up the night, each one as bright and as full as the next. These moons were more than just beautiful. They made the night a place of comfort and wonder, filling the darkness with soft, silvery light. But deep beneath the ocean, something else has its eye on those moons. A creature, enormous and ancient, rested in the depths of the sea. This was the Bakunawa, a dragon, but unlike any dragon you might imagine. Its body was as long as the horizon, its scales shimmering with the light of the ocean at night, and its mouth so vast that it could swallow the moon whole. One night, the Bakunawa rose to the surface and saw the moons in the sky, glowing like treasures just beyond its reach. For a creature that spent its life surrounded by darkness, the sight was overwhelming, hypnotic. The Bakunawa was captivated. It wanted those moons for itself. And so, driven by a desire that even it couldn't fully understand, it made its move. With one mighty leap from the sea, the Bakunawa opened its jaws wide, stretching so far it seemed to touch the stars, and it devoured the first moon. Down it went into the creature's vast, endless belly, where it could keep the moon's light all to itself. The people of the islands were horrified. They watched as one of their beloved moons vanished, swallowed by the Bakunawa's hunger. But the dragon wasn't done. Night after night, it rose from the ocean, swallowing another moon and another. Each time, the night grew darker, the sky emptier, until finally, only one moon remained. The people knew they had to act. They remembered stories about the Bakunawa, how it could be scared away by loud sounds and fierce cries. So, when the dragon rose once more to take that final moon, the people gathered along the shores. They beat their drums, clanged pots and pans, shouted into the night with all their might, pleading for the moon to return. And it worked. Just as the Bakunawa opened its jaws to swallow the last moon, the noise startled it. The creature hesitated, then released its scream, spitting the moon back into the sky before diving back into the depths, defeated but still lurking in the ocean's shadows. From that day on, the people stayed vigilant, ready to make noise if the Bakunawa ever returned to steal their last moon. And as the legend goes, each time there's an eclipse, it's a reminder the Bakunawa has returned, hungry as ever, reaching once more for that last bit of light in the sky. So that's the legend of the Bakunawa and the Seven Moons, a story deeply rooted in the Philippine myths and folklore, yet not as widely known as the others. It's not something you'd typically find in textbooks or hear in classrooms, but it's one of those rare, beautifully intricate tales that deserve to be told. Stories like these are treasures of our cultural heritage, carrying the imagination, fears, and beliefs of those who came before us. So what drew me to this particular myth? Two things actually. First, it's fascinating to think that we have our own version of the dragon, creature that feels universal yet uniquely adapted to the Philippines. And second, the story of moon-devouring creature isn't just ours. It connects us to a broader tapestry of myths worldwide, where different cultures have their own sun and moon eaters. Even within the Philippines, these beings go by different names across regions, weaving a web of shared wonder and mystery. So, in this episode, let's dive deeper into the Bakunawa. Let's explore its name, its origins, and the rich cultural layers behind this mythical being. Because every story, especially one as unique as this, holds a little piece of who we are. So, to truly understand the Bakunawa, we need to start with its name, because even in its etymology, its legend begins to take shape. The word Bakunawa comes from Cebuano or Visayan words. Baku means to bend or to cover, while Nawa can mean disappearance or to lose. Put together, it can be translated as the one who causes things to disappear. And doesn't that perfectly align with the myth? The Bakunawa is one that covers the moon, swallowing its light and leaving the night in shadow. The name itself captures the essence of its power. So, let's move on to the physical descriptions of this creature. The Bakunawa is no ordinary dragon. It's actually a force of nature, Legends describe it as a gargantuan sea serpent or dragon. Gargantuan means enormous or large. So it is among the creatures in Philippine folklore that is as big as the ocean or even as vast as the sky when it rises. So, unmatched in size and power, its body is said to be covered in shimmering scale-like skin that reflects light like a constellation-filled night sky, camouflaging it as it stalks the moon. Its fiery eyes burn like embers, and its mouth is so vast it can devour the moon whole. Dr. Maximo Ramos, in his book Creatures of the Midnight, he classified the Bakunawa as a fish-like dragon, likening it to the Leviathan of Jewish folklore. The Leviathan is depicted as a colossal sea serpent with sharp teeth, armored scales, and immense destructive power. The connection shows how stories of powerful oceanic creatures resonate across cultures, reflecting awe of the unknown depths. In Kinirin-ay mythology, there's an intriguing twist. The Bakunawa's stomach determines the type of eclipse. If the dragon has a transparent stomach, it causes a partial eclipse when it swallows the moon. But if the stomach is thick-walled, the eclipse is total and the world is plunged into darkness. From its name and its form, the Bakunawa embodies both cosmic mystery and human imagination. It's not just a creature of the sea, it's a being that connects the heavens to the depths, a symbol of awe and fear, creation and destruction. These descriptions give us a glimpse of how our ancestors made sense of celestial events, crafting a creature that is as terrifying as it is fascinating. Now that we've explored what the Bakunawa looks like and how its name captures its mythic role, let's dive deeper into where this story might have come from. To uncover the origins of the Bakunawa legend, we'll travel back to the animist beliefs of early Filipinos, a topic we have touched in previous episodes. These early spiritual views shape how people connected celestial events to natural forces. And interestingly, there's also a fascinating link between the legend of the Bakunawa and the ancient Ilonggo lunar calendar. So let's explore. To understand where the Bakunawa legend might have come from, we need to go way back to the animist beliefs of the early Filipinos. In these ancient times, people didn't just see the sea, the sky, or the moon as inanimate objects. They believed these natural elements were alive, powerful, and deeply interconnected with their lives. This worldview shaped the way they explained the world around them, including phenomena that felt beyond their control. Take lunar eclipses, for example. Imagine looking up at the moon, a constant source of light in the dark night sky, and seeing it suddenly vanish. For early Filipinos, this wasn't just an astronomical event, it was a cosmic warning, an omen of disaster. The Bakunawa, with its massive moon-swallowing jaws, became the perfect explanation for this terrifying disappearance. Similar stories can be found across the world. Whether it's a wolf, a celestial dragon, or a giant serpent, eclipses are almost always tied to myths of catastrophe and the struggle to restore balance. Now, here's something fascinating. The legend of the Bakunawa aligns closely with the ancient Ilonggo lunar calendar. The Ilonggos divided their year into 12 lunar months. But what makes this calendar unique is that only 7 or 8 of these months had names. And these weren't just arbitrary, they were tied to important agricultural and natural cycles, reflecting the rhythm of life itself. Each of the named months corresponded to a specific stage in the agricultural process or a notable change in the environment. The first month, Ulalan, begins when the Pleiades constellation appears in the night sky, making the start of the year. It's like nature's signal that it's time to prepare for the cycle ahead. Then there's Dagan Kahoy, the month for felling trees to prepare the fields for sowing, and Daganen Bulan, the period when the felled wood is gathered from the fields. These months show how attuned the Ilonggos were to the needs of the land and how they relied on the moon to guide them. As the year progresses, we reach El Kilin, the time to burn the fields in preparation for planting, and Inabuyan, when the Ponankas, or gentle winds, blow, signaling a seasonal change. These months reflect the natural transitions that dictated life in an agricultural society. Finally, the last two named months are tied to the rice harvest. Irarapun marks the beginning of the harvest, and Manalulsul signifies its completion, a time of gratitude and celebration. The remaining months of the year were left unnamed, likely because they weren't tied to significant agricultural activities. These were quieter times, periods of rest or preparation for the next cycle. It's fascinating to think that the rhythm of life was so closely aligned with the phases of the moon and the work of the fields. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Some speculate that the 7 named months may have inspired or aligned with the story of the 7 moons in the Bakunawa legend. Each moon swallowed by the Bakunawa could represent the passing of time or the challenges of maintaining harmony with nature. This connection shows how the Ilonggos saw the moon not just as a celestial body, but as an essential guide for their survival and well-being. While the Bakunawa is a uniquely Filipino legend, it's far from the only tale of celestial monsters devouring the sun or moon. Similar myths appear across cultures and even within the diverse islands of the Philippines. So, let's take a moment to explore these stories and see how they reflect our shared wonder and fear of the cosmos. Across the world, myths about giant celestial beings devouring the moon or sun seem almost universal. These tales offer a glimpse into humanity's shared attempts to explain the mysteries of the sky and maintain a sense of control over cosmic events that felt larger than life. From the Philippines to Scandinavia, similar stories emerge. In many of these myths, the moon's disappearance was seen as cosmic struggle, a fight between light and darkness. Communities would come together, making loud noises or performing rituals to drive the creature away and restore balance. It's fascinating to see how universal this theme is, despite the diverse cultural contexts. In Mongolia, the legend of the Mang Dagsar tells of a ravenous wolf that swallows the moon. Similar to other cultures, the people believe that creating noise and commotion would frighten the wolf, forcing it to release its celestial prey. In China, the tale of a celestial dragon consuming the sun or moon during an eclipse is one of the most enduring myths. Historically, people banged drums or shot arrows into the sky to scare the dragon away. This practice mirrors the Filipino tradition of creating noise during the lunar eclipse to drive away the Bakunawa. In Thailand, myths of Naga, a serpent-like being, are associated with the moon and its phases. Though not explicitly tied to eclipses, Naga legends often involve their influence on celestial and natural cycles. Indian mythology offers one of the most compelling origins for these stories. In Vedic mythology, the tale of Rahu and Ketu stands out. Rahu, a decapitated demon, seeks revenge by devouring the sun and moon, causing eclipses. His counterpart Ketu represents the lower half of his body, symbolizing the unseen forces that influence cosmic events. This story spread across Asia shaped many of the moon-eater myths we know today. As Hinduism expanded into Southeast Asia, the story of Rahu merged with local animist beliefs. In the Philippines, this influence likely contributed to the evolution of the Bakunawa, blending the concept of a vengeful celestial being with the local reverence for sea and nature spirits. Moving beyond Asia, Norse mythology introduces Iskol and Hati, two monstrous wolves that pursue the sun and moon across the sky. When one of the wolves catches its prey, an eclipse occurs. The Vikings believed these cosmic chases would end with Ragnarok, their version of the apocalypse, when the wolves would finally succeed in devouring the sun and moon forever. In the Slavic regions, the Smigirinich, a dragon-like creature, is sometimes linked to cosmic battles and the disruption of natural order. Though not explicitly tied to eclipses, its legend emphasizes the connection between dragons and celestial power. Among the Inca of South America, eclipses were seen as battle between the jaguar and the moon. During these events, people would clang metal objects and make loud noises to scare the jaguar away, believing that if it succeeded in eating the moon, it would come for the earth next. In North America, the Choctaw people told of a black squirrel trying to consume the sun or moon. Similar to other cultures, the solution was to make noise to drive the creature away and restore light to the sky. These stories didn't just explain celestial phenomena, they evolved alongside cultures. At first, they depicted these beings as neutral cosmic forces, immense and unknowable. But as belief systems developed, layers of morality, vengeance, and even love were added, reflecting human concerns and values. For example, Rahu's act of swallowing the moon in Indian mythology isn't just an explanation for an eclipse. It's also a story of ambition, divine justice, and eternal pursuit. Through these myths, we see a beautiful thread connecting cultures across the globe, a shared fascination with the heavens, and a desire to bring order to the chaos of the cosmos. The Bakunawa, with its deep Indian influence and uniquely Filipino roots, stands as one of the most vivid representations of this universal story. And now, let's shift our focus to the sun and moon eating creatures in Philippine mythology. So, across the islands of the Philippines, the diversity of myths about celestial creatures devouring the sun and moon reflects the richness of our cultural tapestry. These legends, rooted in animism and enriched by external influences, show the unique ways Filipinos across regions understood and revered the cosmos. First, let's talk about the Tambanokawa. And we've talked about the mighty Tambanokawa or Tambanokano before in LilWeird podcast, episode 5, The Earth and the Cosmos according to Philippine folk beliefs. This legendary giant crab wasn't just tied to the moon, he also played a key role in shaping the tides and natural rhythms of the sea, according to Mandaya and Bukidnon myths. Tambanokawa was a child of the sun and moon, known for his immense power. He lived in a vast underwater hole. His movements influenced the tides, but his temper caused celestial chaos. In his anger, Tambanokawa would attack his mother, the moon, attempting to swallow her whole. This act, of course, symbolized a lunar eclipse. To save the moon, people would rush outside, shouting and banging gongs to frighten the crab away, a ritual that united entire communities in cosmic defiance. There's also an interesting connection between Tambanokawa and the Great Flood myth in Philippine culture. A story I'd love to explore in more depth in future episode. For now, we'll keep our focus on his role as moon-eating creature. From Mindanao, the Bagobos tell of the Minokawa, a monstrous bird so enormous that its mouth was said to be the size of the islands of Bohol and Negros. With talons and beak made of steel, feathers as sharp as swords, and eyes like mirrors, the Minokawa struck fear into the hearts of those who saw it. Unlike most myths that focus on the moon, the Minokawa didn't stop there. It pursued the sun as well. Bagobo elders believed that if the Minokawa ever devoured both celestial bodies, it would descend to earth to consume everything in its path. To prevent this catastrophe, people made loud noises and chanted to drive it away, much like they did for the Bakunawa and Tambanokawa. In Tagalog mythology, the Laho represents a more mysterious celestial being, described as a dragon or shadow that devours the moon. The Laho's name fittingly means to vanish. This is where the word naglaho in Tagalog came from. The Laho's presence during an eclipse evoked fear and awe, with communities rallying together to create noise to scare it away. In the Ilocos region, the moon eater is the Olimao, a winged serpent dragon or phantom. The name Olimao is a cognate of the word Halimao, meaning monster, and it shares traits with the Maranao Arimwang. The Olimao, like other celestial creatures, was believed to plunge the world into darkness if left unchecked, inspiring the same noise-making rituals to ensure the moon's safety. The Maranao people of Mindanao tell of the Arimuwang, a mythical lion with evil intentions toward the moon. To fend it off, people would rub their thumbnails together or create deafening noise, believing these actions would distract or weaken the lion. The Arimuwanga's story adds a unique dimension to Philippine mythology by introducing a feline predator into the celestial narrative. In contrast, the Manobo people have a different take. To them, Tambanokawa isn't a crab, but a tarantula or scorpion that slowly envelops the moon in its dark embrace. Men would rush outside, shouting, slashing trees, and beating drums to frighten the monster away. Meanwhile, women participated by sticking needles into the walls of their homes, directing their defiance at the celestial enemy. This communal effort reflects how myths galvanize entire communities during cosmic events. As we've journeyed through these stories from across the islands, it becomes clear that the Bakunawa and its fellow celestial creatures are more than myths. They're mirrors reflecting humanity's deepest fears of darkness, chaos, and the unknown. Imagine our ancestors standing under a darkened sky, watching as the moon, their guide in the night, seemed to vanish into the jaws of an unseen beast. In that moment, these myths weren't just stories. They were explanations, a way to make sense of a world that could feel vast and uncontrollable. But they were also something more. They were acts of hope by shouting, banging gongs, and coming together as a community. Our ancestors weren't just scaring off a monster. They were reclaiming a light, restoring balance, and proving that even in the face of the overwhelming fear, unity and belief could bring back the stars. The Bakunawa and its kin remind us of the universal human struggle to confront the unknown. Whether it's a dragon, a crab, or a bird swallowing the heavens, these creatures symbolize the fears we all share and the courage it takes to face them. Even today, these stories whisper to us, urging us to stand together, to create light in the darkness, and to never stop looking up. Now that we've explored the mythological sun and moon eaters across the islands of the Philippines, let's shift gears and talk about a fascinating connection to the real world, the discovery of a new fish species named after our mythical Bakunawa. Meet the Inistius bakunawa, also known as the eclipse spot razor wrasse. This fish stands out not just for its striking beauty, but for its remarkable resemblance to the mythical dragon it's named after. Its flat body showcases hues of pale yellow to jade green, reminiscent of shimmering dragon scales. It has large, prominent teeth that give it a fierce, almost otherworldly appearance. But what truly sets it apart is the black spot with a white outline on its dorsal fin, perfectly mimicking an eclipse. Discovered by Kent Sargon and his team in sandy, non-coral reef habitats, this fish highlights how much of our ocean's biodiversity remains overlooked. These areas, often passed over by divers and researchers, are proven to be home to unique and mysterious species like Inistius bakunawa. Sargon's discovery is not just a celebration of our natural heritage, but also a wake-up call to protect it. Sargon has emphasized the need for more funding and research in taxonomy to document marine biodiversity, especially in these underexplored habitats. Understanding the ecosystems these species rely on can help guide environmental policies and resource management, ensuring we preserve the delicate balance of marine life. These discoveries remind us that much like the mythical Bakunawa, our oceans are filled with mysteries waiting to be uncovered. And just as our ancestors came together to protect the moon, we must now come together to protect these natural wonders before they're lost to us forever. The story of the Bakunawa is more than just a tale of a mythical dragon chasing the moon. It's a piece of our cultural soul, a reminder that our ancestors look up at the same sky as we do now, saw its mysteries and wove their fears, dreams, and understanding into these legends. In a way, stories like this are proof of the richness of our heritage, the depth of thought and connection our ancestors had with the world around them. Think about it, how the Ilonggos named their months not just to mark time but to honor the cycles of the earth and the rhythms of agriculture. Each name reflects a respect for the natural world and a deep understanding of how life and the cosmos are intertwined. And then there's the Bakunawa, our version of the dragon found in other cultures, but with its own unique ties to our seas, skies, and sense of community. When the Bakunawa threatened to devour the last moon, it wasn't just a fight for light, it was a fight for life. Imagine entire communities gathering together, banging bats, shouting into the night, and standing shoulder to shoulder to protect what they believe was essential, not just for themselves, but for humanity as a whole. These acts of collective courage show us something profound, that even in the face of the unknown, there is a strength in unity, and in that unity, a deep cultural bond. But somewhere along the way, many of us lost touch with these stories. How many of us know that we have our own myths as rich as any tale of Norse wolves or Chinese dragons? How many of us know that we have our own names for the months tied to the land, the moon, and the stars? These stories aren't just folklore, they're a testament to who we are, to the imagination and resilience of our people. And they're still here, waiting for us to rediscover them. As we look up at the moon tonight, let's remember the Bakunawa. Let's see in it the vastness of our heritage, the beauty of our myths, and the strength of our communities that came before us. Let it inspire us to protect not just our stories, but the very world they came from, our seas, our skies, and each other. Because when the darkness comes, as it always does, these stories remind us that we can face it together. Thank you for joining me tonight as we uncover the legend of the Bakunawa. Stories like these remind us of the depth of our culture and the imagination of our ancestors. It is a proof that our history is as rich and fascinating as the myths we tell. If this episode sparked your curiosity, I'd love to hear from you. Share your thoughts, favorite myths, or even stories from your family. You can find me on social media or leave a comment wherever you're listening. And if you've enjoyed this journey, share the podcast with a friend or leave a review. It's a small act that helps keep these tales alive for future generations. Don't forget to follow the show so you don't miss the next episode, where we'll dive into another story that reminds us of the wonder and mystery all around us. Together, let's keep exploring these myths, their meanings, and the lessons they still hold for us today. Until next time, stay curious, keep exploring, and remember, a little weirdness makes life interesting. Thanks for listening.